Don't worry, I'll hand in your resignation for you. Serves you right. This is my first company trip, and I have a prosthetic leg. My boss, who always had it in for me, left me stranded on top of a cliff, laughing loudly. Me being alone, I was unable to get down from the cliff, feeling utterly lost. But he didn't realize that this would turn into a major event that would greatly impact his own life. And I too would have never imagined that it would change my life for the better. I'm John. I'm a 30-year-old office worker at a video game production company. While I may sound like an ordinary member of society, there's something about me that's a bit different. I live my life with a prosthetic leg. In middle school, I was involved in a traffic accident, which led to the amputation of my leg. I had pushed a girl who was walking ahead of me out of the way of an oncoming vehicle, which ended up hitting me instead. I remember being thanked profusely by her parents, to the point of feeling apologetic myself, as she also sustained severe leg injuries at that time, but had I not pushed her out of the way, her life would have been in grave danger. However, because of my impulsive act to save her, I was forced into a wheelchair-bound life for a while. Even though I didn't regret saving her, seeing my parents cry over my lost leg sometimes made me wonder if I had made a mistake. But I couldn't have just stood by and watched the accident happen. If I were to face that situation again, I would do the same thing, I convinced myself. Mr. Smith, my middle school teacher, once told me, "John, you did something truly remarkable. I understand how her parents feel. Your leg won't come back, and it pains me to see you in a wheelchair, but you did a noble thing. You saved a life. That's truly incredible. It's something that couldn't have been done without courage. Be proud of yourself. Give yourself a lot of credit." His words made me happy. I hadn't made a mistake. I had done the right thing. With those words in my heart, I managed to get through the rest of middle school without giving up. When I was a bit into high school, my mom called me one day, saying, "John, there's something I want to talk to you about." She showed me several documents. "What are these?" "They are brochures from companies that make prosthetic legs. I've picked out a few." Prosthetic legs. Yes, life in a wheelchair can be inconvenient in many ways. With a prosthetic leg, though it will be tough to get used to, you could do a lot more. What do you think? How am I supposed to respond to that? Having lived in a wheelchair up to that point, I hadn't considered walking on my own again and was taken aback by the sudden suggestion. But knowing that my parents had researched this for me, I decided to give it a try after some thought. Could I really walk and run on my own again? The thought of being able to do something I had given up on was exciting. The prosthetic leg that was made for me looked like a human leg. It wasn't like the athletic prosthetics I'd seen on TV, but more like a doll's leg. You could tell it was a prosthetic leg if I showed it, but with pants on you couldn't see the joints, and with shoes I looked just like everyone else standing. I was even moved the first time I saw it, but actually using it every day was a different story. At first, attaching it myself was a struggle. The joints hurt and didn't fit well, and I didn't know how to distribute my weight, causing other parts of my body to hurt as well. Having lost muscle from living in a wheelchair, walking for long periods of time was difficult, and adapting to the prosthetic leg was so hard that I considered giving up several times. But when I stood up again and saw my parents crying, I couldn't give up. High school life was limited due to my prosthetic leg, but I put extra effort into things I could do without using my leg. Of course, I never missed a walk to gradually increase my endurance on the prosthetic leg, and I regularly attended gym classes at school with the help of friends. By the time I got to college, I had gotten used to the prosthetic leg and could walk for long periods without looking any different from an able-bodied person. I went on to enjoy my college life and successfully landed a job at a video game production company, a field I had always been interested in. I informed them about my prosthetic leg during the hiring process, so everyone is very helpful when I need it, which I greatly appreciate. Now, I've been promoted smoothly and am working as a manager, leading my junior colleagues in developing new games. John, a colleague, called out. Jess, what's up? I have a personal matter I'd like to discuss with you. Can I join you for lunch today? Sure, but are you sure you want me as your confidant? Of course, I really want to talk to you, John. All right, let's do lunch today. Thank you so much. I could tell my junior colleagues regularly confide in me and rely on me for work, which shows their affection. While nurturing these adorable juniors who look up to me, I'm also aware that my boss treats me quite well. John, my boss said. Yes, the client was very pleased with our last project. The sales are also looking great. Thank you. So, I'm thinking of entrusting you with our next project. Is that all right with you? Yes, of course. I'll do my best. Thank you. That's reassuring. Well then, John, I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you. It was gratifying to have such expectations from my section manager, Jason, and it motivated me greatly. I was working hard every day. But of course, there were those who didn't think well of me. One of them was my boss, head of my department, Kevin. Kevin, who is 5 years older than me, was promoted to head of the department when I became a manager. It seemed like he was jealous because I became a manager at a young age, and he often tried to make things difficult for me. He would stand deliberately in a way that made it hard for me to pass in the narrow corridors of the break room, or place shared documents high up where it was difficult for someone with a prosthetic leg like me to reach small things, but they built up stress. However, since Jason has been assigning me more work lately, I consider jealousy to be natural and focused on switching gears to work. Then one day, John, aren't you going on a company trip? I was asked by a junior colleague. Looking at the calendar, I realized it was already that time of the year. Our company goes on an annual summer trip. It started as an initiative by the CEO to give everyone a break from their usual desk-bound routines. This year was exceptionally hot. After gathering everyone's suggestions, it was decided that we were going to go to a highlanded area for a cooler experience. A highland area known for its beautiful abundance of flowers. Well, I'd love to go, but I don't want to be a burden. I had always refrained from joining the company trips, thinking my mobility issues would cause inconvenience. What? No, it'll be fine. Let's go. But I can walk fine, but hiking up to a highland is another story. Don't worry about it. We'll all help you out. Really, John, we're here to support you. Let's go together. Are you sure it won't be a bother? Of course not. You always help us out. So let us help you with this trip. Let's go. All right. If you all say so, I'll give it a try. Encouraged by everyone, I decided to go on my first company trip. Just as everyone had encouraged me, during the trip, they looked after me, making sure I had no troubles and could enjoy myself. During the bus rides, a junior colleague subtly took care of my bag, and a newbie volunteered to carry my suitcase, which I appreciated. Even Kevin, who usually gave me a hard time, seemed mellow, surrounded by nature, not bothering me and even appearing kind. John, he called out. What is it, Kevin? While enjoying the scenery of the highland, Kevin called me over. He pointed to a cliff apart from everyone else and said with a smile, check it out. The view from up there is amazing. This spot, it does look high. Yeah, I'll help you up. It's worth seeing. No, I might not be able to get down. It's fine. I'll support you going up and down. You really should see it. If you insist. All right. This spot was difficult to climb alone, seemingly high and a bit scary. But the view must be truly beautiful. Not wanting to dismiss Kevin's offer to help, I agreed to climb up with his support. You okay? Yes, almost there. Wow, this is incredible. Reaching the top and looking down, the view was as beautiful as Kevin said. Colorful flowers blossomed beautifully, offering a refreshing sight. I wanted to bring my junior colleagues here to show them. That's how beautiful it was. Kevin, thank you for helping me. This is truly stunning. I'm moved. Kevin. I thanked him, but he didn't respond. Looking around, I couldn't see him where he had been just moments ago. Kevin, Kevin, where are you? I looked around frantically and spotted him walking away in the distance. Kevin, wait, where are you going? Shouting out, Kevin turned around. Kevin. Relieved for a moment, Kevin then grinned and said, "Don't worry, I'll submit your resignation for you," and walked away. What? Resignation? What do you mean? No, wait, Kevin, wait. Ha ha ha. Serves you right. His laughter echoed around me. What do you mean? What are you thinking? Come back, Kevin. I couldn't get down from here alone. His laughter faded, leaving only my shouts. Anyone? Is anyone there? Help. I can't get down. Anyone? I yelled, seeking help, but this place was off the beaten tourist path, and there was no one in sight. This is bad. Have I been abandoned? Kevin had been kind today. But what if it was all a plan to pacify me and leave me stranded? What if he had planned to leave me here alone from the start? The thought left me shocked. Right, my phone. I remembered I had left my cell phone below the cliff to avoid inconvenience while climbing. It's no use. There's no one around. I couldn't call for help. I couldn't descend a cliff by myself. What should I do now? I was at a loss, but soon the day began to fade. The temperature dropped, and I started to feel cold as my sweat dried. This is bad. There's no use worrying. If I don't return, someone will surely notice. Then, surely, someone will come for me. Deciding to wait until morning, I lay down in the shade to conserve energy. After a while, as the sun set beautifully, I was shivering from the cold when I suddenly sensed someone's presence and looked up. Hey, what are you doing here? Are you all right? You are so cold. I saw your belongings below and couldn't believe it. Can you get up? Put this on for now. Thank you. The man was an elderly gentleman with a camera, who had noticed me and hurried over. That was close. I'm relieved to see you're conscious. Why are you up here on this cliff, sir? I love photographing the sunset. I often come here for it. Then I saw the belongings below and was surprised. Sometimes tourists climb up here and can't get down, especially children. I see. Never mind me, we need to get down quickly. While thinking his voice sounded familiar, the elderly man touched my leg, then looked surprised. Oh, it's a prosthetic leg. Do you know me, John? Huh? Don't you remember? It's Mr. Smith, your middle school teacher. Oh, Mr. Smith. Yes, it's been a long time. Turns out, the elderly man was Mr. Smith, my former teacher. Mr. Smith, why are you here? Well, after retiring, I moved to the countryside to pursue my hobby of landscape photography. I live within walking distance from here. I see. I was surprised but remembered he always had a camera back then. Mr. Smith rubbed my back to warm me up. Here, drink some tea. I'm glad I brought something warm. Here you go. He gave me some tea from his thermos, and its warmth spread through my body. So, why are you alone here? I explained. Actually, I was on a company trip to this highland, but someone left me here. What? He stopped rubbing my back in shock. I was told the view from this cliff was beautiful, so I climbed up with his help. It was beautiful, but then he just left, saying he'd submit my resignation. As you know, I have a prosthetic leg and can't get down alone. I thought if someone noticed my absence, they might come to help, so I decided to wait here. I might not be found in the dark, but I hope someone would come in the morning. I'm really glad you found me. That's terrible. Did he know you couldn't get down because of your prosthetic leg? Yes. What a despicable person. Mr. Smith was angrier at Kevin, who left me, than I was and carried me down the cliff. Thank you. I'll head back to my inn. No, I can't let you go back to a place with such people, and you're more weakened than you realize. Rest at my house. But that's too much. You've already helped me enough. No, come on. I couldn't argue with his insistence and followed him to his house. Oh my, what happened? This is my former student. He needs to rest right away. He's very cold. Could you prepare something warm? That's terrible. I'll bring a blanket right now. Oh, thank you. Mr. Smith's wife, perhaps, a sophisticated-looking lady, hurriedly brought me a blanket upon seeing me. I'm sorry to be a bother. It's okay. Please rest as long as you need, even though our place is small. Small was an understatement. I was surprised by how spacious and warm their house was. Mrs. Smith prepared hot lemonade for me, and while I was warming up, she served stew. Here you go, enjoy. Thank you, I will. The first bite spread a gentle sweetness, almost bringing tears to my eyes with its deliciousness. There's plenty, so you can have seconds if you want. Yes, it's very delicious. I would like some more, please. Oh dear, no need to rush. The stew isn't going anywhere. Sorry. It's okay. I'm happy to see you enjoying the meal. I was embarrassed at how eagerly I ate, almost gobbling up the food. But both of them looked at me with such kind eyes, as if I were their son, which I am truly grateful for. When I was left behind by Kevin, I didn't know what would happen next, but I never expected to receive such hospitality, and felt quite overwhelmed by their kindness. John, the bath is ready for you. Oh, I can't possibly impose for a bath too. That's too much. What are you worrying about now? Go ahead and bathe. I'll leave a towel at the door. We only have my husband's clothes, but you're welcome to wear them if you don't mind. I'll set them out. I felt guilty for having them take care of everything for me. But they were both so kind, and in the end, I even accepted a bath, borrowed clothes, and stayed in their spare room. I must have been exhausted. I slept soundly through the night. In the morning, I was surprised to see Mr. Smith on the phone saying, "We should definitely consult the police about this. We can't just let it slide because it's within the same company." No, it doesn't have to be a big deal. No way. If I hadn't come, you would have been in danger. Excuses like it was just a joke don't cut it. Let's report it properly. He called and reported to the police. Soon after, police officers arrived, and Mr. Smith and I were questioned. Actually, I was intentionally left behind by a colleague, Kevin. Mr. Smith had insisted there was no need to cover for Kevin, so I told him everything as it was. It then became national news on TV, spreading quickly. At the same time, I heard Kevin was taken into custody by the police while he was relaxing at the inn. Later, I was asked to give another statement at the police station. After the questioning was over, I wanted to thank Mr. and Mrs. Smith again, so I visited their home once more. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, thank you so much for everything. No worries. Just like how you once did, I'm proud to have saved a life. Mr. Smith, I'm happy too. It's been a long time since someone enjoyed my stew so much. Thank you. No, thank you for the delicious meal. It really helped me recover. Well, that's nice to hear. Please feel free to visit anytime. As I was expressing my gratitude at the doorstep, some of my colleagues appeared. John, why are you all here? We heard from the police. We're so sorry about what happened. Why are you apologizing? You did nothing wrong. Kevin was to blame, not my colleagues. I knew they had been calling repeatedly after noticing my absence. They had no reason to apologize. But everyone was still hanging their heads. When John disappeared, we asked Kevin, and he told us John had a family emergency and had to leave suddenly. We didn't know anything until the police came to the inn. We tried contacting you a few times on your cell phone, but thought you couldn't answer because of the family emergency. Looking back, we should have confirmed it more thoroughly. We knew Kevin was always mean to you, but we thought he would behave on the company trip. So, we just believed him without any doubt. We had promised to support you, and yet we let you face danger. We're truly sorry. Don't apologize. It's not your fault. Don't worry about it. We can't just let this be. There was a female colleague almost in tears, Clearly, they were all very worried. Seeing this, Mr. Smith said, "When I heard you were left behind by someone from your company, I worried about what kind of terrible company you were working for. But John, it looks like you're at a good place. I'm relieved to see everyone loves you. You guys understand, right? Stop apologizing now. It'll only trouble John. If you regret it, just make sure such a thing never happens again. That's all, right, John?" "Yes, everyone. Sorry for worrying you. Let's go home." As I motioned, they all nodded. "All right, let's go back." Later, I heard Kevin was sentenced to prison. Nobody from the company visited him, and he was no longer a topic of discussion. The incident being broadcast nationwide made me somewhat of a celebrity, and even employees from other departments who didn't know the full story learned about it. Although I received concerns from everyone I passed by for a while, I was fine. As for Kevin, I didn't want to see his face, so I didn't attend the trial. Mr. Smith, who went to observe, told me Kevin confessed, "I was jealous he got a position at a younger age than I did. I was jealous that he was adored by both junior colleagues and bosses. I knew he had a prosthetic leg, so I left him where he couldn't get down on his own. I didn't care what happened to him. I hoped he wouldn't come back to the company. I couldn't stand seeing him happy every day despite his prosthetic leg. I thought I'd be adored if he wasn't there. I was shocked to know I was hated to that extent. It was also frightening that living a normal life could incur so much hatred." Kevin's selfish and childish excuses led to his family disowning him. He had a young child, but he was divorced, and now his whereabouts are unknown. He lost his family and, of course, his job. He lost everything. After getting out of prison, he's been barely making ends meet with day labor. None of us, myself included, had any sympathy for him. He got what he deserved. Afterward, I threw myself into the new project assigned by Jason. The game we created was a huge hit. Acknowledged for my contribution, I became a manager and then the youngest department head in the company. I was the most surprised at my promotion but wanted to give my all since I was entrusted with it. In my first executive meeting as a department head, I gathered my courage and said, "I have a suggestion to make. How about we put more effort into hiring employees with disabilities?" Actually, many people with disabilities have put in a lot of effort to live in a society designed for able-bodied people. As a result, there are many highly capable individuals who can surely contribute to our company. Until now, our company had only hired the minimum number of people with disabilities as required by law. However, I believe that we should actively recruit anyone who can contribute to the company, regardless of their disabilities. After all, this is the company that employed me. They should be flexible in this regard, I thought. So, I made this proposal, half expecting it to be turned down. But to my surprise, my CEO George readily agreed, saying, "Indeed, that makes sense. We have John as an example. All right, let's start doing that from the next fiscal year. Arrange whatever we need," making it a decision, and I was taken aback. "Is that okay? Is there a problem?" "No, I just didn't expect immediate approval." If someone as capable as you suggests it, it must be right. Besides, there's surely a suitable job for everyone, whether they have disabilities or not." True to his word, George began actively hiring people with disabilities, not just for new graduates but also for mid-career positions, provided they had the ability and could contribute to the company. As I predicted, many of them were highly skilled and continuously growing. Knowing about me, they were motivated, realizing that even with disabilities, they could aim for promotions. Their contributions helped the company grow even larger. Sometime after we began actively employing people from various backgrounds, a woman joined the company through mid-career recruitment. Her face and name were familiar. It was Emily, the woman I had saved back in middle school. "Emily, John, is that you?" We were both surprised and happy to reunite. "John, you work here?" "Yeah, I do. What about you, Emily? Where have you been until now?" I was working at an advertising agency, but I quit due to various reasons. Then I heard about this company and decided to apply. I see. We got to know each other after the accident when I woke up and she visited me in the hospital. Although she didn't lose her leg, she suffered from after effects that made it difficult for her to walk smoothly like an able-bodied person. We became close as I repeatedly comforted her when she cried, blaming herself for my leg injury. Being of the same age, we quickly exchanged contact information and continued to support and encourage each other even after being discharged from the hospital. When I got my prosthetic leg, she was the only one I could confide in. We kept in touch regularly until graduation, but became a bit distant once we started working due to our busy lives. I'm glad we met again. You look well. Thank you, I'm happy to see you too. Her facial expression was brighter compared to the past. That made me happy too. And then surprisingly, Emily and I started dating. I didn't know it, but she always had feelings for me. I told her I didn't want to burden her with my prosthetic leg, and if she was doing this out of guilt, she should stop. But she said, maybe at first, but now it's different. I genuinely like you, John. Could any man not be moved by those words? I too had secretly harbored feelings for her, and they reignited. Things progressed quickly, and we started dating. We ended up working in the same department, and while working together, we went on dates to barrier-free restaurants and tourist spots in our private time. Having already met each other's parents, they were all tearfully happy about our relationship. Next month, we'll start living together in a barrier-free house, and I'm looking forward to our future. Whether someone has a disability or not doesn't change their worth as a person. What's important is their character and attitude. There's no need to envy someone else's achievements. It doesn't matter who they are. Just focus on doing what you can. Living honestly will eventually be recognized by those around you.